How's it guys, and welcome back to Ultimate Exotics. So today's video, we're going to be doing a video for the beginner reptile keepers out there, and we're going to be specifically talking about ball python setups. And in today's video, we're going to go through all the basic things that you need to keep your ball python, and we hope that this video will help those of you out there that are thinking of getting a ball python for the first time to have a better understanding of the exact requirements that you need to keep your ball python successfully and to keep it happy. Now, we're going to go through the caging, the substrates, the lighting, the heating and the humidity. And just remember that what we show you today, your setup doesn't have to be exactly the same. It can vary from setup to setup, as long as you meet those few specific requirements, which we will discuss, that will ensure that your ball python will be happy in its enclosure. So let's start out by having a look at everything that you need for the setup, and then we'll show you how to put it all together and talk a little bit more about the ball pythons themselves. Okay, so this is the enclosure that we're going to use for the ball python setup today. We call this our reptile display cage, and it's a very simple setup, but it looks very neat and it's nice and it works really well, and it makes a great reptile display cage. You don't have to use something exactly like this. There are a lot of other types. There's the glass Exoterra or Zoom Air type cages, and then there's a lot of other custom style cages out there. So that is okay. You can use those. For us, for a beginner setup, we feel that this is the ideal solution. It's not very expensive and it just looks great. Then over here we have the substrate which we're going to use today. Again, substrate, there's many different types that you can use. We're going to use our reptile bark substrate that we sell at Ultimate Exotics, and then we're going to add a little bit of peat moss just to add to the texture, and also just to help with holding a little bit of extra moisture for humidity. But that is a nice combination. It looks very naturalistic, which is what you want to achieve in a reptile display cage. Substrate though, you can use many different types, such as newspaper, sawdust, and the list goes on. So there's lots of different types, but for today we're going to use this, which is nice and simple and works well. Then we have the just a nice naturalistic hide. We have a naturalistic water bowl that has a deli cup which comes out, which is then easy to clean and disinfect for clean water. And then we have another hide, which is just more like your breeder style hide. We have an LED light, which we're going to put in the cage. Now, just one thing to remember, you don't have to have an LED light or any type of lighting with a ball python. They don't require it. But if you have a display cage, it's nice to put it on in the day. Just make sure that it goes off at night. Then we just have some plastic plants. This is just an example. I mean, you can get very creative with the setup, but this is a nice, simple plant which we're going to use. We then have a humidity, well, it's not a humidity, yeah, so it's a hygrometer and a thermometer, and that will just help you keep track of temperature and humidity in the enclosure. And then we have the heat pad, a foil heat pad, which we're going to show you how to connect up. And this is also an essential part to make sure that you reach the required temperatures, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Okay guys, so let's talk a little bit about the setup. And in particular, let's focus on the temperature and humidity of the cage. So ball pythons, they come from Western to Central Africa, and it's quite a warm and tropical environment. So what we try and do with the temperature, we use the foil heat pad like we discussed earlier. This is basically heating cable that has been placed inside this foil mat, and these work really well. These are foil heat pads. And what we do is we try and maintain a temperature of 32 degrees Celsius. It can be a little bit higher, so anywhere between 32 and 34 degrees Celsius is fine. So that's the ideal temperature that we're going to try and achieve. And you want your ambient temperature, or the temperature of the rest of the cage, to be around 25 degrees Celsius. So yeah, hot spot 32 degrees Celsius and ambient temperature 25 degrees Celsius. And that is ideal for your ball python. What it does, it provides a gradient, or a heat gradient, so that your ball python can decide where it wants to be. So it can choose to be on the heat pad at 32, or it can move away from the heat pad when it feels that it's had enough heat. And also on a warm day, it needs to be able to move away from the heat pad. Then the other thing is humidity. The humidity doesn't need to be too high. Around about 50%. It can go a little up a little bit as long as it comes down afterwards. So around about 50% humidity is no problem at all. And that will also allow to make sure that your ball python can shed successfully. And that's also why we use a substrate like this and a big enough water bowl just to create that little bit of humidity. But that's why it's also important you have a hygrometer and a thermometer so you can check your humidity and you can check your temperature to make sure it is correct. Then when it comes to lighting, ball pythons are nocturnal, so they don't need any special lighting. We just put the light in because it makes the cage look nice and appealing in the day. And as long as you just make sure that it's on a timer, or you can yourself turn it off every night so that your ball python has at least 12 hours of night. So yeah, let's start putting this cage together and we'll show you step by step what we're going to do. Okay, so to start off, we're going to first put the heat pad in and the light, and then we can start putting the substrate and everything else we need. So just before we begin, we drilled 2 holes. There's a hole at the back there just to allow this heat cable to go through that hole and be connected to a plug out the back. And then we've done a hole on the side as well over here, and that's just going to be for the electrical cable for the lighting. So just 2 holes that we drilled, and now I'm going to quickly just show you how we connect up the heat pad. But just before we do that, another great thing about these enclosures is that there's a sliding glass in the front, and what is great is that the glass can come out while you're working on it, because the runner at the top is deeper than the runner at the bottom, so you can push it up and slide it out, so it gives you space to work inside the enclosure without the glass getting in your way. So I'm just going to take those 2 pieces of glass out, and now we can work in the enclosure without anything getting in our way. Okay, so just quickly before we connect up the heat pad, a lot of people ask me how do we connect this heat pad, because it can be a little bit confusing when you see these 2 strange looking wires at the end of this heating cable. And basically it's exactly like you would connect a lamp. It's very simple. So all you're going to do is take one of these electric block connectors and you put those 2 ends in there, and then you just take the normal twin flex wire that's just connected to a normal plug that you just plug into the wall, and you put that in on the other side of the connectors, just like you would connect up any normal wires for a bedside lamp or anything like that. So those are going to go in there, those 2 wires are going to go in there, and we plug it on, and then the heat mat warms up. It's as simple as that. Okay, so now we have the basics of the cage set up and ready to go, and that is the electrical stuff. So we have our light in there, our LED light. We have our heat pad. You can see the 2 cables that go through the back, and that's just connected like we showed you how it was connected, plugged in, and that is starting to heat up right now, so it's getting nice and warm. And now we are ready to start putting in the substrate and the hides, the water bowl, and the decoration. So let's get going on that. Okay, so we have finished the setup for the ball python. As you can see, it's very simple, but it looks great and it's very effective, and it does well for the ball pythons. Like I said, you can get creative. You can, it doesn't have to be exactly like this. You can use your imagination, but just stick to the simple guidelines. Make sure that your temperature is at 32 degrees. You have a relative humidity of around about 50%. You provide a good substrate and good hiding places for ball pythons. But ball pythons are shy animals, and they do need a good hide. So here we've done a hide on the warm side, and then another hide over here on the cool side. There's the other hide over there, the naturalistic hide. And then the plants, it's more for our own appeal, but at the same time it also does provide a bit of added security for your ball python. And there's a nice big water bowl which will help with humidity, that you need to make sure has clean water in it at all times. So that is just a nice, basic, attractive looking setup, and I hope it just makes it easier for you to understand exactly what they need. and then here it's not accurate right now because it's still waiting for the heat pad to warm up, but there's your hygrometer and thermometer. So it's reading the humidity and the temperature there for you, and that's quite a nice tool to have, a nice digital reading to have. Okay, so now we're ready to add our ball python, and what we have here is this beautiful female ball python for a customer of ours. And what she is a killer bee, which is a super pastel spider, and look how beautiful she is. Look at those colors. So such an amazing snake, such an amazing combination as well. So this is her new enclosure. I think she's going to be very happy in here, and I'm sure she'll make her way into that hide shortly. Just going to slide the glass closed. And then another cool feature is these reptile rubber wedges. And as these ball pythons get bigger, they're quite muscular snakes, and they have been known to push up against the glass and slide it open. So these just make sure that the glass is nice and secure and is not going to slide anywhere. So we're just going to push that in there, and then it's nice and tight, and that glass isn't going to go anywhere. So very nice setup for that ball python, and she'll be fine in there for the next 6 months or so, and then she might need a cage that's one size up, which will then be perfect for her for the rest of her time. And then just quickly, everything you've seen in the video today, you can order from us at Ultimate Exotics on our website, and order it online at www.ultimateexotics.co.za, and we can deliver everything that you've seen in this video, and we have loads of other cool reptile products that we can deliver to your door anywhere in South Africa. So please go and have a look, and if there's anything you need, order it online and we'll send it off to you. I would also just like to appeal to all the ball python breeders out there that if you're breeding ball pythons and you're selling ball pythons to the general public, please copy this link, send it to your customers, and it will help your customer and you in the long run. Just give them a better idea on how to care for these animals and how to set their animal up when they're getting their first ball python from you. So please don't forget to do that. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this video, and I really hope the beginners out there can use this video as a guideline to how to set up their first ball python enclosure. As you can see, it's not very hard, and as long as you meet those few simple requirements, your ball python will thrive and do well in its new cage. And as you can see, something like this, although I said it's not hard, look how attractive it looks, and it really is a nice feature in your bedroom or in your lounge, and your snake will be very happy in an enclosure like this. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment below, and most importantly, please don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video. Keep well. Cheers.